Mark Grayson is a hero, but he's always being tested by how far he can stretch his limits when it comes to his morals. And this week is no different, because this week we see that he is truly... And so let's talk about it. As always, there will be spoilers ahead, so come back after having watched it.
Was that me?
In this week's episode, not a lot happens, but there's still a lot to cover. We see Rex and Ray hit it off with each other while shopping, and they seem to have a sort of chemistry going on that may blossom into something more. Mark thinks that Cecil was the one who sent the drone at the end of the last episode, so he breaks into the Pentagon to threaten him again. But after finding out that it wasn't him, he returns to his date with Eve, which gets interrupted by these time-traveling thieves from the first episode, who are also called Dropkick and Fightmaster. It turns out that they come from a timeline which is ruled by a king who used to be nice but is now ruling as a tyrant and killing people who stood up to him. So these guys hope that by stealing the Declaration of Independence, then maybe they could defeat him. But that didn't actually work, so instead they enlist Mark's help after seeing him beat up multiple in the first episode, in hopes that he could defeat the king. However, it turns out that this tyrant king is in fact the Immortal, who is ruling Earth after Mark had told him to in the future. But the Immortal had become the Elemental and wants to end it all, so he begins fighting Mark, and Mark accidentally ends up killing him, which makes Mark feel terrible once again. But he continues on his date with Eve, and once again we get a banging montage song, which I can't play because this will get a copyright strike. Then they get busy, so we cut to Alan, who finally breaks Nolan out of prison after who knows how long, and Nolan says that there's only 50 Viltrumites or so left in the galaxy. So this episode was a solid entry. It once again shows Mark dealing with his conscience after killing the Immortal, and it seems as though it will be a battle Mark will face throughout the season, and it will either lead him to eventually getting back on good terms with Cecil, or it could get even worse. The song with Mark and Eve is so good, but Feeler is still on top, but both are bangers nevertheless. Also, the fight in the prison was really cool, but it felt so forced and shoehorned in. It definitely felt like something that could have been a longer episode, because we have seen throughout the past 10 or so episodes of Alan and Nolan talking to each other, so they could have just cut up all of that and made it into one longer episode rather than them teasing us for 10 episodes of them breaking out. We do also see how they could potentially beat the Viltrumites, as there are only 50 or so left, but there is a way that they do overcome this, but I won't spoil it for those who don't know. But overall, this episode was kind of simple and slow paced, but it did have some major implications, and so there isn't much to discuss besides Mark killing Immortal and then breaking out of prison. So overall, this episode is a 7 out of 10. Do comment below your thoughts on the episode and subscribe whilst you're there.